have a roll call, please?
Roger Brock.
Here.
William Hutton.
Here.
Dennis Radowski.
Here.
Nancy Reagan. Kathleen Hill.
Here.
4 present. We have a quorum.
All right, the next item on our agenda is the election of officers for 2023.
David Westland, would you like to conduct the elections for the officers?
I can. Is there a nomination or motion for the office of president?
Actually, it's chairperson and vice chairperson, but okay.
So we're calling for any nominations for the chairperson. Hearing none.
I'll nominate Ms. Hill for chairperson.
I'll second that.
We have a motion and a second.
Dave is supposed to be.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Dave, would you
Are
like?
there any other nominations or motions for the office of chairperson? Hearing none, if we could call the roll to have Mrs. Hill nominated to the chair.
Dennis Radowski.
Yes.
Roger Brock.
Yes.
William Hutton.
Yes.
Kathleen Hill.
Yes.
4 ayes, 0 nays. Motion passed.
Is there a nomination or motion for the position of vice chair?
I'd like to make that motion for Roger Brock for vice chairman.
I'll second that.
Any other motions? We have a roll call for Roger Brock for the position of vice chair.
Dennis Radowski.
Yes.
Roger Brock.
Yes.
William Hutton.
Yes.
Kathleen Hill.
Yes.
4 ayes, 0 nays. Motion passed.
The next item is the approval of minutes for June 1st, 2022. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to approve the minutes for June 1st, 2022. Roll call vote, please.
Dennis Radowski.
Yes.
Roger Brock.
Yes.
William Hutton.
Yes.
Kathleen Hill.
Yes.
4 ayes, 0 nays. Motion passed.
Next item is approval of the minutes for August 30th, 2022.
I'd like to make that motion for the approval of the minutes of August 30th.
I'll second it.
We have a motion and a second for the approval of minutes for August 30th, 2022. Roll call vote, please.
Dennis Radowski.
Yes.
Roger Brock.
Yes.
William Hutton.
Yes.
Kathleen Hill.
Yes.
4 ayes, 0 nays. Motion passed.
Do we have a motion to table the minutes for December 6th, 2022 until our meeting in February, which is February 28th, 2023?
I'll make that motion.
Second.
We have a motion to table the minutes for December 6th, 2022 until our February meeting. Roll call vote, please.
Dennis Radowski.
Yes.
Roger Brock.
Yes.
William Hutton.
Yes.
Kathleen Hill.
Yes.
4 ayes, 0 nays. Motion passed.
Any old business at this time?
No old business.
Okay, we'll move into new business. First item on the,
Madam President, if I may real quick, just for Nancy's sake, Nancy, if at the bottom left of your cell phone, bottom left corner, when you click on the screen, touch the screen, and then there should be a start video button. Press start video. You may have to give your phone permission to use audio and video. And if you're on a phone call, you're calling in on a phone, it is *6 to unmute yourself if you're on a phone call.
do we know if she can hear you at all? Just go ahead.
Go ahead.
Okay, first item under new business is Z-23-01, petition of Americo Real Estate Company, AREC, for a conditional use regarding Title 10, Section 10.0 11(15) to allow a self-service storage facility in a C4 general commercial district located at 6303 Calumet Avenue in the city of Hammond. Has all the notification requirements been met?
Yes, they have.
All right. Would the petitioner like to come forward, state his name and address, and sign in, please?
Recording in progress.
Hi, my name is Rick Rottweiler. I'm a District Vice President for U-Haul. My home address is 3649 West Belle Plaine in Chicago, Illinois.
Chris, can you hold the microphone a little bit closer?
Certainly. Are we able to get the presentation that Gernor has keyed up?
She should be able to share her screen.
Yeah. Gernor, if you can hear us, if you want to share screen with your presentation?
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Excellent. Let me. All right, Rick, you can let me know if you want me to go to the next slide or.
Sure. Yeah, we can go ahead and go to the next slide. So just to give you a little bit background on U-Haul and what we do and where we've come from, we've been a sharing business since 1945. We were founded in 1945 out of need by a Navy veteran and his wife. We've been serving the do-it-yourself movers and their households since then. We do maintain the largest rental fleet, including trucks and trailers and towing devices. We also offer self-storage throughout North America, and we provide industry-leading moving and storage boxes and an extended line of packing supplies to protect customer possessions. U-Haul is the consumer's #1 choice as the largest installer of permanent trailer hitches in the automotive market, and the company also supplies alternative fuel for vehicles and backyard grills as one of the nation's largest retailers of propane. You can go ahead and go to the next one, Gernor. So again, we have over 75 years of experience and expertise utilizing a sharing business model. We were founded as World War II was ending and raw materials were in short supply and veterans and their families were moving towards a new life. We maintain the same premise since inception that the division of use and specialization of ownership are good for the public, and sharing our equipment with as many customers as possible allows U-Haul to keep the customer's costs low while reducing the need for more privately owned large capacity vehicles in the community. Go ahead, Gernor. We do partner with cities and towns. U-Haul enhances local businesses and cities by attracting customers who might not otherwise visit the location, brings new business to a city, ensuring a viable and expanding local economy, improve the quality of life for residents and needing work to support themselves and or their families, and by representing a responsible business model which is thoughtful towards the communities in which we do business. Go ahead. U-Haul does promote social and economic sustainability. More than 18 million customers rented U-Haul trucks and trailers in 2016. U-Haul provides positive economic support to a community by attracting customers from different regions. This added customer base increases awareness of other nearby merchants and fosters relationships that may bring new businesses to the city, ensuring a viable, expanding local economy. And increased business traffic may require hiring additional employees, improving the quality of life for residents needing to work to support themselves and their families. So here you can kind of see an overview of what we do and what we have. We have over 150,000 trucks, 112,000 trailers, 40,000 towing devices. We have 1,800 or more than 1,800 company-owned stores, 20,000 independent dealerships. We employ over 28,000 team members. We have 51.4 million rentable square feet of self-storage and 1,100 locations that are offering alternative fuel. We have the largest retail network of propane in the country, and 13 of our 1,800 U-Hauls are adaptive reuse projects. Over time, every U-Haul vehicle placed in a community serves as a potential substitute for 19 personally owned large capacity vehicles. Trailer sharing reduces environmental impact because trailers do not emit greenhouse gases, and our aerodynamic design optimizes fuel efficiency of the tow vehicle. So in getting into more specifics on what we're proposing here in Hammond, go ahead. So we have an overview aerial of the property located at 6303 Calumet Ave, just down the street. So this is where we're proposing to expand our operations. Go ahead. And then you can see the site plan that we've submitted here. We're proposing a 3-story self-storage facility in the northwest corner of the property, 2 drives to access the facility. We will have truck and trailer sharing on site as well. And we've taken into account some landscaping opportunity that was requested by Hammond, and you can see that we've screened in the property around. Go ahead. All right, so I can also show you some conceptual renderings we have of the proposed facility here. Right here, this first one, it shows in detail what we propose at 6303 Calumet. You can see the 3-story self-storage building that's right here on the northwest corner of the property. We have the north and south elevations showing some of the signage we're proposing here and the materials that we will use to construct the facility. And again, the north and south, southeast and north elevation as well. And lastly, the east elevation for the proposed project. So we are here requesting 4 different petitions. One, Z-23-01, the petition of Americo Real Estate Company for conditional use regarding Title 10, Section 10.11, to allow a self-storage facility in a C4 General Commercial District located at 6303 Calumet Avenue in the city of Hammond. Number 2, Z-23-02, the petition of Americo Real Estate Company for a conditional use regarding Title 10, Section 10.11, in relation to Section 10.10, automobile rental to allow truck and trailer sharing at the self-storage facility in a C4 General Commercial District located at 6303 Calumet Avenue in the city of Hammond. Number 3, Z-23-03, petition of Americo Real Estate Company for a developmental variance regarding Title 19, Sections 19.70.15, self-service storage facility building height to allow an increase in the maximum height for a self-storage facility building from 1 story or 15 feet to 3 stories or 40 feet in a C4 General Commercial District located at 6303 Calumet Avenue in the city of Hammond. And Z-23-03B, petition of Americo Real Estate Company for a developmental variance regarding Title 19, Section 19.70.20, self-storage facility, building construction, appearance and size to allow an increase in the maximum area of a self-storage facility building from 10,000 square feet to 83,000 square feet in a C4 General Commercial District located at 6303 Calumet Avenue in the city of Hammond. Okay. So right now, one of the reasons that we are interested in purchasing this property and moving forward, we have an existing facility at 822 165th Street in Hammond. We purchased this building in 1977. We've been operating it since then. So we have been in the community since 1977. Our current facility that we have it's older, it's dated. It's not what we would build for our customers, for our residents, for the community in 2023, right? So we're looking at this new property at 6303 North Calumet so we can move our main operations, our showroom and our storage operations, mainly to 6303 North Calumet, which will allow us, A, to provide a modernized product for the community. Self-storage has changed over the years, and What we would build now is a state-of-the-art facility, climate-controlled, individually alarmed rooms, covered load and unload access. It really provides the community with the top-notch product, right? That's why we need this facility in order to modernize, okay? Go ahead, Gurner. Again, you can see some of the renderings that we've done here. We've taken into account the design guidelines that the city has given us. I think we have a really beautiful building proposed here that certainly upgrades what we have on the existing property. We've also taken into account the signage that's been recommended by the city, so we have a minimal amount of signage that is mainly directional and informational to the customers. And we've used some brick and some wood panel to really make that thing pop and look modernized. Okay. Go ahead, Gurner. So this isn't the first time we've done something like this. We'll show you some examples of what we've done across the country in regards to ground-up facilities. So I think from these examples, you'll really be able to see that we're able to adapt to the guidelines of the community as far as design and really make buildings that they're one of a kind for the communities that they're in, right? So we do strive to raise standards and provide a desired and essential product to the communities in which we serve. For over 50 years, we have been recognized as a symbol of quality and reliability throughout the United States and Canada. So right here, you're seeing just, again, an overview of some of the different buildings we've built in the last few years here in different parts of the country. So a little bit about our security features that we would have on this new building that we're proposing at 6303 Calumet. We do have state-of-the-art burglar and max alarm systems that include 24-hour monitoring and interior motion detectors on all storage floors, the stairwells, and our main showroom. We have a hands-free intercom system that's able to communicate to all the max security stations throughout all floors of storage, specifically designed for customers' use. So essentially anywhere that anybody might be in the building, they have a box that they can click a button on, and we can see exactly where they're at in the facility and provide assistance at any given time. We have 24 digital HD video surveillance with remote and web-based viewing. Every single room is individually alarmed, armed and disarmed by a keypad or card swipe. We have programmable automatic security gates, which only allow paying customers to access the exterior storage. And 16 color HD day and night cameras will display facilities interior, exterior, and elevator. And those, again, can be monitored 24 hours a day. We have multiple audible sirens for storage and burglar alarms, and a U-Haul exclusive patented latch used in all storage units. We can go over here, just a few sustainability programs that we have. So one of the things we do is a box exchange program. This facilitates multiple reuses of the cardboard box. We have fuel economy gauges on our trucks, which allow drivers to understand how to utilize the most efficient amount of fuel. We do U-Car Share, which is a car sharing service as well. We offer 100% biodegradable packing peanuts made of a starch mixture, replacing styrofoam and reducing landfill waste. We make our moving blankets, which are our furniture pads that are manufactured from denim and cotton polyester. We have a reuse center that's at every storage location. We do a telecommute program and a Conservation Fund Go Zero program, and by also placing U-Haul dealerships and equipment in neighborhoods, reducing customer fuel consumption and CO2 generation when obtaining and returning rental equipment. This next page, you'll be able to see some of the other sustainability programs that we have. Our centers are constructed with methods and products that reduce energy consumption, which would be the same for this new building. We use a Butler MR24 metal roof system that has a life cycle of 35 plus years. They're Energy Star compliant and recyclable. Mobile storage rooms are made from 95% reused material, motion sensor lighting, and storage centers. We do permeable ground cover for rental equipment, parking, and self-storage drives. That reduces development footprint, recharging the groundwater, and lowering impact on municipal water management systems. We partner with Arizona State University on incorporating sustainable architecture into our U-Haul centers. And we try to locate U-Haul centers near public transportation lines to reduce fuel consumption and CO2 emissions. A little bit about our reuse centers that we have in every self-storage facility. The goal of these is to reduce the amount of used goods being dumped. We provide centers in which our customers can leave their unwanted but reusable belongings, such as furniture for others to take. We've implemented more than 450 of these across the United States and Canada. Annually, the existing reuse centers facilitate local residents reusing more than 135,000 household goods, which equates to avoiding 4.6 million pounds of materials being dumped into landfills, or 720,000 pounds of CO2 emissions from municipal waste trucks, which would have been used to transport the materials to a landfill. Another sustainable program we have is Take a Box, Leave a Box. We designate a place at our centers for our customers where they can leave their used moving boxes for future customers to reuse. The idea is that while recycling is great, reuse should occur first to ensure more efficient use of our resources. This was established in 2007. Both programs encourage reuse of U-Haul boxes, which are built to be reused again and again, and it saves nearly 1 million boxes to be reused every year. In addition, we have biodegradable packing peanuts. We make these out of a starch mixture that replaces styrofoam and, again, reduces landfill waste. We've been doing this since 1993. And then again, we have some additional green building features that we incorporate into all new buildings. Our centers are constructed with methods and products that reduce energy consumption. We help protect and restore America's special places by partnering with the Conservation Fund Go Zero program, which plants trees to help zero out carbon footprint. We ask that customers donate to the fund, in which the conservation receives 100% of the donation. And since 2007, more than 840,000 customers have chosen to offset moving emissions with a donation to that Conservation Fund's Go Zero program. And we've passed along 100% of those contributions, which have planted nearly 300,000 native trees. As they grow, these new forests restore habitat for wildlife, preserving natural ecosystems and the clean air that we breathe. So here you'll just see a few awards that we have for the sustainability programs. And then a note on traffic studies and commercial uses. Our truck and self-storage use generates less traffic than most other commercial uses would generate. If you see at the bottom there, we have a traffic study for a U-Haul center of 80,000 square feet, which is right on, we're targeting about 83,000 in this new building. The traffic volume during weekdays is a total of 31 estimated trips, and weekends at 53. You can see that's far less than a casual dining establishment, a hotel, a gas station with a convenience store, fast food restaurant. Okay. Again, there are benefits to the city of Hammond. It does promote, a new U-Haul facility would promote growth in the community. Would promote sustainability and generate less traffic, like we said, than other retail or commercial uses, thus reducing congestion and pollution. We promote sustainability via the shared truck system, which reduces customer trip length and CO2 emissions. The proposed U-Haul would add to the property value and increase the tax base, which strengthens the economic base of the community. We do promote reuse programs that help reduce tree harvesting and pulp manufacturing. And the planned U-Haul expansion would adhere to city code and standards, creating a new use for an existing site that's been vacant for 34 years. Okay. So that's what I have for you as far as some background on the company and what we're proposing on the site.
Right. Members have any questions at this time?
I do. Thank you very much for the time that you've given us to understand your company better than we've probably ever understood it in the past. But I do have a few questions. You talk about covered loading and unloading areas. I didn't see that on your pictures there. Can you try to help me with that?
Sure. Bernard, are you able to bring up the site plan again?
Yeah.
And if you could, you might be able to go ahead and explain it with your mouse there.
screen is moving.
Let's see if I can.
Also, it's a little pixelated, but I'm sure I can bring up the actual one. Just a second.
So right here on the side of the building, we have an awning that will overhang the load-unload area for our vehicles, which means that customers will be protected from the elements.
So all vehicles load and unload at that particular location only?
There's a few spaces designated for that right
Okay.
here, as well as these 3 doors right here where a customer can actually pull into the facility to load or unload. So these are more for a quick stop to the facility. Go ahead, park, run in, and grab a few things. These are for, say you were moving your whole house, you wanted to get out of the elements.
Thank you very much. You talk about a traffic study that might be a boilerplate traffic study. Was there a traffic study done for this particular site with your particular requirements?
This traffic study is in general. There has not been one done specifically on the site, but we are more than willing to provide that.
My next question is, when we look around the site, we have residential,
Sure.
we have a school, we have a church. How does this particular application impact those existing conditions?
Well, I don't believe that it would negatively impact any of those, right? So we have the screening around the facility as far as, from anybody that might be in the residential area next door looking in. So we'll have the screening with the trees, so they'll be looking at landscaping essentially as opposed to a new building, right? And also with the traffic flow in and out, again, we're not generating that many trips per week. So once we get onto a site, we direct the flow of any returning equipment through striping on the parking lot and signage. So we're able to direct where we want customers to drive the equipment.
I listened to vehicles driving in and out, being parked, gasoline in tanks, and I also listened to propane tanks being stored here.
Sorry?
Which,
Propane?
propane?
We wouldn't have propane on this facility, just to be clear.
I misunderstood?
He was mentioning propane, but
That's what I thought.
Sorry?
he didn't say they would be here. He
Oh,
did mention they
okay.
use.
Right, I was just talking in general on that one.
Mr. Poland, the environmental conditions, can we talk about that, or should we not talk about that?
If you want to formulate a specific question, that would certainly be your choice.
Thank you. I would like to know, I'm sure my colleagues would also like to know, the Phase 1 environmental, has it been done on the entire property?
Yeah, we did have a Phase 1 and 2 environmental done. I did see the staff report that there were some additional questions there, which we'd be willing to address going forward. Of course, if there was any remediation or anything that needed to be done on the site, we would certainly address that prior to construction. So if there's additional testing or additional questions there that are required, we're certainly ready to do so. That's no problem.
Do we know what those questions are?
I received a staff report today with some questions there, so I don't have the full answer set up for that, but again, I am willing to address any concerns that the city would have in regards to that. Of course, we're not going to, we're going to do our due diligence as far as understanding any environmental concerns and then rectifying that.
So you're committed to remediating the site?
Should it need remediation? Absolutely.
Okay, but you do not have the report yourself, and the city has not had the report as far as the condition of the soil or anything like that.
There's a Phase 1 and 2.
You received the staff report today, correct?
Correct, earlier today.
Okay, and you've noticed their concerns, and none of that has been submitted to the city for them to review?
Sure, there may be, go ahead.
No, Ms. Hill, just to clarify for the record, they did present as the Phase 1, correct? And environmental management has reviewed that, and then they formulated some questions from that. They applied their knowledge of the history of the property that, that it was felt that the Phase 1 report did not address the fire that happened 34 years ago on the property, and the nature of that business, and the fertilizer product that was in that business, and things like that. So that is, seems to be a gap in the report that whoever you hired to do the Phase 1, and so so it's more of what our environmental management department determined as missing information.
Which they did not feel comfortable releasing their opinion, yes, go for it, or anything like that. They still have concerns that are not been addressed.
We are at the point where environmental management department does not have enough complete information and have expressed concerns.
Where is the Phase 2?
We have additional reporting that I don't have here with me. So should we want to get some additional reporting done that can solve any questions or concerns, we can certainly do that. You know, again, some of this information that was brought up today, we just don't have an answer to right yet. That doesn't mean we're not looking to get it, is I guess the point that I'm making.
I apologize. I misunderstood earlier. I thought you said you had a Phase 1 and a Phase 2 report already.
Got it. I'm certain of the Phase 1. I can check on the Phase 2. Again, the information we got back today says there's some question, but again, we can address that, no problem.
Thank you.
Sure.
You also stated you also had a site presently in Hammond, and if this was constructed, that site would be eliminated and moved to the new site.
We would move our primary operations to the new site, right? So we have a showroom on the existing site that's has employees that work out of that showroom. We'd move the showroom to the existing, or the new property.
So the existing site in Hammond would be eliminated.
It would not be eliminated. We'd still maintain that facility, but by purchasing this new property and building the new facility, then would allow us some additional revenue in order to kind of rehab what we have on the existing site as well. So that's kind of the idea. We're operating out of the facility we have currently. It's older, it's a little dated, right? So we're looking to improve our operations and give a better quality product and service to the community. Once we can move over there, that would give us a little breathing room to be able to upgrade our existing facility as well.
And you have not purchased the present site as of now?
Correct. At 6303 Calumet. We are under contract.
Is the contract conditional as far as everything passing BZA?
It's a standard contingent
Okay,
purchase agreement.
Just putting it into the record.
Yeah,
okay?
no, I mean, I believe that's been established. It's just a standard contingent purchase agreement.
Right. Any other questions?
Staff has some.
Well, I noticed in the staff report, too, there were things that had not been given to the planning department as far as, let me see if I can find that page. That they were looking for in regard to fact, I think it was on, there's no page numbers. As far as the fact, as far as we normally have, as far as the banning of certain things, the chemicals, flammable things, and things like that had not been provided either to the city.
Ms. Hill, would you let the staff address that, please?
I sure will.
Thank you. Just for a couple of things for clarity, also for the board. Again, technically, all we have called is for the hearing tonight at this moment is Z2301, which is the initial conditional use permit. His presentation put the whole perspective of all 4 cases tonight, and that's there's no issues with that, because that's fine. Technical correction on something that I thought I heard you say when you referred to the address. I thought I heard you say 6301 North Calumet at one point or another.
If I did, I misspoke. 6303 Calumet.
Yes, that's a particular pet peeve of mine, because we don't use directionals in the city of Hammond, even though the post office thinks we do.
Sure.
So one of the things that I heard in your presentation that I wanted to get clarified is this issue of the reusable furniture center.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess I didn't quite understand that, so you can correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm trying to get a basic understanding that this is people who have left things there that through whatever mechanism you have to dispose of, you will they can leave these things available, and that you will somehow collect them and distribute them to a needy person?
They're not collected and distributed, so basically we have a sectioned off area in the storage facility. It's got some signage on it. It's basically essentially for lightly used items that a current customer that's renting storage from us may not any longer have a use for, or they're moving out. Say they stored a couch in the facility, they're moving to a new home, they don't need the couch anymore that they stored because they purchased something new. They can put it in a designated area that allows for another tenant of ours, self-storage customer, to come in and take that item as they see fit, if it meets their needs.
Okay, so, and that storage area is inside the building?
Correct.
Okay. All right, kind of getting back, I'm trying to get back into some fundamental issues. In your presentation, since we were talking specifically about the self-storage facility, what I did not hear in your presentation is just the basic facts of the number of units and those types of things, and that really needs to be put properly on the record.
Certainly. So right now our site plan is showing we build 690 rooms at 6303 Calumet. That's about 52,775 total net rentable square feet of self-storage space. 19,370 of those would be climate controlled, and 19,260 would be heated.
Okay. You talked about a lot of the environmental aspects inside the building, the sustainability. I think what Chairperson Hill was trying to address as far as what is in the staff report was this question of what types of controls you have on your tenants who may want to store a flammable or dangerous or some other type of chemical or device or anything that
Sure.
would be potentially hazardous to the facility.
There's some specific restrictions that are on every storage contract, as well as posted throughout the facility on our rules boards, that restrict hazardous materials, paints, flammable materials, firearms. I believe Gurnor has a contract showing some of that information as well, so we could forward that over to you if that's helpful.
Okay, and I don't know if you can answer this, and you can judge whether that you choose to, but on a practical basis, how does that really work? That even though you have a standard agreement and somebody has the knowledge of the restrictions, how would you know if they violated that?
Enforced it.
Enforced it, violated it, whatever.
Well, it is discussed at move-in, what's allowed and what's not. The signage is up again for everybody to review, and then we have people working on the premise that are working in the self-storage facility when customers are moving in and out. And I know there might be this kind of thought that these things are super busy all the time and there's a bunch of people in and out all the time, but really it's not. So there's less people on site than you might think at any given time. So we have people going through performing maintenance, customer service that are kind of overseeing everything as well.
So, anyway, so you have people monitoring to the extent that they can as to what people are bringing in and out of the facility.
Right, certainly if somebody was to attempt to store something that was unallowed, it would be addressed at that time.
Right, okay. Chairperson Hill, were there any other questions that you wanted clarified?
No, I think any storage unit too, we can't guarantee that they're not gonna bring something in, even though it's in their contract. I think that's it's a difficult thing to enforce.
I do have one question. Going from 10,000 to 83,000, or 8,000 to 83,000 square feet, the question is this building sprinkled?
We do not have drawings yet showing the construction of this. However, should we be required to sprinkle it due to fire code, then we certainly would.
Right.
I'm sorry.
No, I mean, I wasn't sure where you're going with that particular question. That's a fair question at this stage.
I mean, we definitely follow all codes and regulations.
I go back to the propane. I go back to the propane. Mr. Poland, Chairperson Hill's comments about what's being stored in here and how you're going to control that and how you're going to prevent that from happening. That's befuddling.
Again, we have.
Maybe that doesn't require an answer from you, but I'm just expressing that.
I'm not sure that you're able to provide an answer better than what you have already at this point on that particular point.
Yeah, I mean, again, we have cameras in the facility. We have actually people working there that are helping us to manage the facility. So I don't have concern. I mean, I have 54 other stores within the Chicagoland area in Northwest Indiana that we do not have an issue with people storing things that they shouldn't.
I have a question of the staff. Would the staff feel more comfortable getting more information and having something tabled or postponed or taken off at the present time?
I'm not sure that that is the right timing of that question since the staff has not presented its report. This is at a point where the petitioner is still making his petition. We haven't even gone into public hearing, so I think you might want to hold on that particular question.
Right? Does the petitioner have anything else to present to us at this time?
I'm sorry, I couldn't.
Do you have any other information you'd like to present to us at this time?
At this time, no. I can answer any questions as it pertains to the property, the facility.
Do members of the committee or staff have any questions at this time for the petitioner? All right, we will go into public expression.
Rick, you can sit down.
And notification requirements have been sent to all areas that were required, correct? Do we have anybody in the audience or online that would like to give us any information for or against this Z-23-01? Any questions, any concerns? Hearing none, we will close this period of public comments. Any other questions for staff or the chairpersons, board members? Right. Do we have a motion for the presentation of a staff report?
The staff is prepared to make its presentation.
Right.
So actually, Tom, I would ask you at this moment to explain the chart.
Okay.
And go through your, how your analysis and how you arrived at.
Okay. So, We attached to the staff report what we called an Exhibit B. So this was beginning back in August, we began canvassing, the city began canvassing local self-storage, service storage facilities in the city of Hammond to see the number of storage facilities. So a number of these self-reported. A couple of them we had to, analyze BZA documents from prior approvals on prior other facilities and, visual confirmation and permits that were issued when they were built. But what we discovered was that overall in the entire city, which is 24 square miles, there was 3,144 self-service storage units, which comprise about and out of that, 2,040 of those were found within 1 square mile of the facility. In fact, about within 3/4 of a mile. That's 65% of the total storage units in the city were in this general vicinity, most off of 165th Street. The closest facility, obviously, is the U-Haul facility, which is currently in existence, to be referenced, at 822 165th Street, 1,000 feet south of here. So there were 2,040 units within about 3/4 of a mile of the area. We discovered that about an 80% occupancy rate in the area. Overall, we only had information for about half of the storage units for occupancy. So that number is very inaccurate. But it did show a higher occupancy rate, but still lower than what U-Haul reports at their existing facility at 822 165th Street. So, I could get into, so of the 2,040, 1,371 of them are climate controlled in the area, 1,585 are internally accessed. If they were able to build the 690 units, this would increase in this general vicinity, an increase of 34%. So we would go from 2,040 units to 2,730 units. City feels that's a substantial increase in the density or geographic concentration in the area. But yeah.
Okay, fine. Thank you, John.
Oh, and just also to put in more context, over the last 6 years, the board has heard and approved 4 petitions for self-service storage facilities. That's 1,328 units, and all 4 of these facilities, some of the multiple buildings, were within the 1 square mile of this facility.
Okay. And so attached to the staff report also is Exhibit A, which is the memo from the Department of Environmental Management that we kind of alluded to aspects of this earlier. But it makes reference to the fire that was 34 years ago and his suspicions as to the impact on that property based on the chemicals or the product that was in that building in which the fire is there, and concerns about should his concerns bear out to be truthful, and that's probably not the right word for that, but should his presumptions bear out that that would be an issue from prevailing winds as to how that may blow against the adjacent properties. Obviously, that condition potentially currently exists, and so that's it's a matter that needs to be addressed regardless of this petition. I think we've already talked about previously that, that's where some of the missing information is in the reports that were the phase 1s that were presented to us, that this was not adequately addressed. So.
This would be, can I interrupt? This would be in relationship if construction was going on at that site.
That would be a factor,
That would be a
yes,
major
because
factor.
now you have ground disturbance, and then that gets into SWIP protections and things like that, where our wind control of potential products dissipating. But those are things that would have to be addressed regardless of
whatever
anything.
was put there.
Right.
Okay.
So I think, if the board has taken the opportunity to read through the entire report, we've identified a lot of concerns about this facility, this location. The Appendix B that Tom presented was, talking about the number of units in this small geographic area of the city of Hammond, and many of those that were recently approved in the last couple years. And there's some other technical things that are important overall, and site plan issues that could be addressed or don't necessarily need to be addressed at this exact moment. I think that, I guess another technical thing is the impervious surface impacts, some of the missing information of stormwater detention and things like that. Kind of getting to the point from the chairperson as far as what the staff's concerns are. I think our concerns, not that any of all of these issues we talked about are less important, because they all come together to form a picture of what the development is, and I don't think there's anything inappropriate or untoward that the presenter is presenting. I think it comes down to what our community feels to be the appropriate thing, appropriate use of property in our community. And in the context of what's in the area along 165th Street, along Columbia Avenue, with the number of self-storage facilities, that causes a great concern as to, is this really appropriate for this community or this part of our community? So the staff report is that the staff recommends that the BZA deny the conditional use permit primarily due to the excessive number of self-storage facilities and the number of storage units in a small geographic area of the city, and as well as some unanswered concerns about the environmental conditions of the property.
I have probably a idiotic question to ask in regard to Exhibit B. I am not big on the number of self-storage units we've even had at the present time.
Kathy, I can't hear you. Use the
Absolutely
microphone.
idiotic question, but considering the location of where these units are and what section of Hammond they are in, has this report looked at as far as where the people are coming from who are using these storage units? Considering we border Munster, we border, Lansing, we border Calumet City, and are these people only Hammond residents, or are we bringing in other communities? And is that the need for the storage units? I don't know, because like I said, I am not big on massive storage units, but is that need there? I do not know. But that has not been looked at or anything like that. Correct?
Your question is whether or not there was an analysis done of the users of the facility?
I was given some information several months ago as far as with landlords and rentals and things like that, where they are cutting their spaces that are used for their renters, and they have no place to store linen, toweling, clothing, things like that, and they are forced to use rental units.
Forced to use
Storage units.
storage units because they cannot keep
They don't have room in their apartments.
their part. Oh, okay.
So that's what I don't know. Like I said, I'm not big on it. But, if you no longer have a basement, you no longer have any place to store things, is that why the need is there? I do not know.
Okay, so I appreciate your question, but I'm not sure
If it has any bearing.
have any bearing, because then you'd be saying that why should we have a taco restaurant in this location or another location because you may not like tacos.
Like why would you, no, it's like why should we have a gas station here and 2 blocks away there's another gas?
Okay, well, but I think, first of all, when it comes to gas stations, we've already
Yeah, I
established
know.
regulations for separations
know,
because
I know.
we have a very unusual circumstance with gas stations across the state that people come from the state line. So we have done that. Now, if you're asking if we have,
No.
hang on, if you're asking that analysis has been applied to self-storage facilities, the answer is no. We did not look at the customer base. The staff only looked at the raw numbers of self-storage facilities in this geographic area and feel very strongly that that is a significant concern.
All right.
By all means, if he wants to address that, I'm sure he can.
And I'm also very concerned as far as not meeting requirements that you need to make further recommendations when you do not have a lot of things as far as soil samples or anything like that to look at that. Because it's going to be a bearing on whatever is put there. But I will go by what your staff report. Any questions in regard to the staff report besides my stupid one? Okay. We have had our staff report and their recommendations. Any amendments to the report? Hearing none.
No.
Any board members have any amendments or any other comments? Do we have a motion to adopt the staff report and the proposed finding the fact as presented?
I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
Roll call vote.
Dennis Radowski,
Yes.
Roger Brock,
Yes.
William Hutton.
Yes.
Kathleen Hill.
Yes?
4 ayes, 0 nays, 0 abstentions, motion passed.
Any other comments from the staff before we make a motion to approve or deny Z-2301?
No.
Okay, do we have such a motion?
I'll make a motion to deny.
Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Roll call vote?
Dennis Radowski,
Yes.
Roger Brock,
Yes.
William Hutton,
Yes.
Kathleen Hill.
I'm going to abstain.
Okay, 3 ayes, 0 nays, 1 abstention, motion passed.
Right? So at this time, we will not be moving to Z-2302, Z-2303, parens A, and Z-23-03, parens B.
Okay, let's, Attorney Westland?
Yes.
Okay, so the action of the board has been to deny 2301, and the chairperson was commenting on the how we should, whether we should proceed or not on the following cases. What is your recommendation as our attorney?
would leave it up to the petitioner if they want to proceed with regard to 23-02.
All right, petitioner, would you like to proceed with Z-2302, which is additional use regarding Title Section 10, Section 10.11 in relation to Section 10, parens 3, automobile rental to allow truck and trailer sharing rentals at the self-service storage facility in a C4 General Commercial District at 6303 Calumet Avenue in the city of Hammond.
Randall, do you have any feedback on that?
I assume we want to proceed.
Okay. So yes.
Okay, so, Chris, therefore, you've already made the overall presentation, so if you could focus specifically on the question of the truck and trailer rental component as far as location, number of vehicles, and, that whole operational aspect of it.
Sure.
I guess I would ask also, like, in light of the fact that 2301 was denied, how is that going to affect the overall layout of if the rentals were approved tonight? Like, how is that going to, the question I would ask is how is that going to affect the overall layout of the property in light of the fact that you're not allowed to do the self-storage?
I would say the goal would be to get all the entitlements we can today and then go back to the drawing board on the things that we didn't get and resubmit something that may be more appropriate.
And I appreciate that, Randall. And I guess my thought would be that the only thing the Board of Zoning Appeals could consider with regard to 2302, the rentals, would be, kind of the site plan that was attached with 2301. And I don't know that is relevant because that's not going to be your site plan, right? Like, if you would get this, you're basically asking the board to approve something based on a site plan that is not going to happen.
Understood.
So I guess, if we cannot tell you to not proceed, but I think it's going to be really difficult for this board to consider it when the site plan, in order to approve it, the site plan is going to have to change. And I guess if I was in your shoes, I would be changing the site plan to give myself a better opportunity with 2302.
Yeah, I think that makes sense. Maybe we table it, regroup on the site plan, and then try again.
Mr. Westland, is it possible, this is Chairperson Hill, is it possible to represent that site plan again as far as which would be Z2301, which would be pretty much the basic site plan, and then just postpone everything until...
What I'm saying, and I think what Randall, what I just heard him say was, in light of the fact that the self-storage units were now denied, but there still is an issue pending of this truck and trailer sharing rentals. They may want to revise the site plan that they've tentatively submitted, and they may want to take a shot at just the rental portion in 2302, which would require redrawing and whatever. I mean, I think it's fair for them to ask to regroup at this point with regard to 2302, and then how that might even affect O3A and O3B, quite frankly. So if that's what and that's kind of what I heard Randall just say. So, I mean, I'm not trying to say, hey, yes, said that, so we're sticking you to it. So I guess I'd ask the petitioner that question.
No, I think that makes the most sense for us. If the truck share use is tied to the self-storage site plan that was just rejected, then we need to regroup the site plan so that we can get the truck share use approved.
Yeah, or at least put it in a light that makes more sense than the light it's presented now, which is in light of a plan that has partially been rejected.
Right.
So, yeah, with that, I would suggest a continuance of 2302 and 03A and B, and allowing the petitioner the chance to kind of, with their professionals and their team, get their kind of ducks in a row. And I don't think it'd be fair to you, Randall, to proceed with that tonight.
Agreed. Yeah, we'd like to continue it.
Mr. Westling, is it possible to set, instead of continuing this month after month after month, we ask the gentleman how long he thinks it would take him to get his site plan reorganized and things like that, and then wait for like 2 months to represent, 3 months or whatever?
I think that's fair, and as long as we announce tonight how long it's going to be before this matter is brought back, whether it's the February meeting or the March meeting or the April meeting, as long as you announce it tonight at this meeting, that would serve as your public notice, as long as there's no further or additional request, which would mean they wouldn't have to re-advertise everything. However, if we said it's in February and then they need more time, it becomes a little bit more tenuous. So I guess I'd throw it back to Randall again. Realistically, is 30 days enough because we have our next meeting at the end of February, or would you prefer some longer time?
If we go 60 days, would we have to republish, or are we good on notice through this meeting?
Brian, do we have a meeting set in March?
We don't know at this point in time. We're still working on February's agenda.
But we have one scheduled, right?
Oh, yeah, we have one scheduled, but as far as, is there anything specific on the agenda? No. So if you wish to postpone it into the March date, then staff would have no objection. I will state that staff also appreciates the extra time, because I would be concerned that the time it would take for U-Haul to generate a new site plan in 30 days, and for us, the staff, to evaluate it in order to, that 30-day cycle is very challenging to deal with that.
So
I think that's fair to everybody that we go for 60 days.
What is the March date?
March 28th.
Okay, so as long as we announce tonight in this meeting that it will be continued, if a motion were made to continue it to the March 28th meeting, then Randall, the answer to your question is no, you would not need to re-advertise.
Okay.
Would this come back up under a Z2301, or would it be a new case number?
Yeah, we're talking about the 02, 3A, and 3B, correct?
That's correct.
So those would fall under old business on the March 28th agenda for 02, 03A, 03B.
Correct.
Madam Chairperson,
Yes.
Mr. Poland, when is the date that you need the new site plan for the for the March meeting? If
Give me
you
one
could.
sec. Give me a second.
That would also have a bearing on the soil samples and everything like that, correct or incorrect?
Yeah, I mean, for Attorney Studdard, I think in your team, we would prefer to see revised information by no later than the 24th of February.
I think we can do that.
Thank you.
So do we have a motion to table Z 23-02, Z 23-03, and Z 23-03B, A and B?
Madam Chairperson, I'd like to make that motion to table those items until the March meeting.
We have a
I'll second it.
Okay,
We have a
and,
motion and a second?
I'm sorry, you said 02, 03A, 03B, is that correct?
Correct.
Yes,
Okay, thank you.
you're welcome.
Do we have a roll call vote?
Dennis Radowski,
Yes.
Roger Brock.
Yes.
William Hutton.
Yes.
Kathleen Hill.
Yes.
4 ayes, 0 nays, 0 abstentions, motion passed.
Thank you, everybody. Any commissioner comments? Hearing none, I'll move to staff comments.
Yeah, staff comments, I think as indicated, we do have some items on the agenda for the February 28th meeting. I believe 3 cases. So just let us know if you are unable to attend as soon as you are aware of that.
Any public comment? Hearing none, we shall adjourn our meeting at 7:21. Everybody have a nice day,
You want to bang the gavel?
nice Groundhog Day.
Kathy, technically, we adjourned.
Oh.